Hello, I'm Matthew Jude, and the board game news doesn't stop, so it's now or never. Near and Far and Above and Below have been hugely popular games in designer Ryan Laukat's Arzium series, and Red Raven have had a lot of big games. I mean, Sleeping Gods has been a massive release from the past few months, so it's pretty exciting that we now have more details on the long-awaited Now or Never. Now or Never, at its core, is an asymmetric city building game where you and up to 3 friends compete to best rebuild your ancestral village while also trying to guide the rest of the villagers on their journey home. But also, there's a meteorite, which is probably fine and nothing to worry about, but some of the creatures of the meteorite do remain, and you will need to fight them off to protect travelling villagers. Player interaction is achieved. This isn't player interaction. That's probably wrong. It's achieved through the hiring of your opponent's specialists. And while you rebuild, you will need to be mindful of combat in order to keep things, well, rebuilt. And according to Red Raven Games, who are famous in part for their story-driven narrative, you'll be exploring a fantasy landscape filled with bizarre places, creatures, technology, and people. Not unlike enter the name of your town's rival here. Those enter your rival's town collective noun. Their sports team sucks. Now or Never includes 2 modes of play, a standard mode and a story mode. And when playing in the story mode, you'll be reading from a storybook when you explore, allowing you to make choices, learning more about the characters and the world as you go. And each character in the game has their own set of stories, unique to the locations they explore, and this expands and diverts the plot, perspective and motives, allowing you to choose what direction your own story will take. I recently played the Ancient World 2nd edition, which was my first real foray into the world of Red Raven Games, and I really liked it. I loved it actually. I thought it was ace. So while I've not played the other games in the Arzium series, I'm now very interested in Now or Never, even if it does sound a bit like a Bond film. And if you are interested, you can pre-order Now or Never from the Red Ravens website, and if you do, you get some exclusive metal coins. And there's also a copy of the rulebook to digitally thumb through, which is nice. Welcome to the moon! It's the end of the 1970s, and while a car that gets more than 10 miles to the gallon is still science fiction, life on the moon isn't. And with the financial backing of various corporations, players will compete to design the best settlement on the moon, so that their Selenite city earns the distinction of becoming the lunar capital. The game's unique combination of tile laying and card drafting will make you see stars. The tiles show what projects are available, including oxygen collectors, greenhouses and residential complexes, and, of extreme importance, sales offices. Each tile type scores according to how they are managed within the personal area of each player, and whoever best arranges their cosmic cityscape should become the mayor of Lunar Capital. Follow the link in this video's description to pre-order Lunar Capital from Devere and find exclusive promo tiles that will only be available in the game's first edition. Hey, you like Catan? If you answered yes, my next question is, yeah, but how much do you like it? Because if it's a lot, then boy howdy do I have a product for you. Catan 3D Edition is, well, it's a mega deluxe $300 version of Catan, where, according to the totally non-biased CatanShop.com, the island comes alive with this long-awaited 3D version that comes with terrain tiles based on hand-sculpted designs by Catan designer Klaus Teuber himself. And they are hand-painted, though I'm assuming not by Catan designer Klaus Teuber himself. But they are, along with the price tag, impressive. This is a really show-stopping version of what I consider to be the most important board game of the last 50 years. And it has, along with the 19 terrain tiles, 6 sea frames and 9 harbour markets, all hand painted, as well as translucent number tokens, antiquated player pieces, and a really nice version of all the other stuff you need to play the game. This is a playable version of Catan, it's just a really nice one. So for the Catan fan with every fan, this is something for them. If you're like me, then you are desperately in search of a life partner but have been single for 5 years and are slowly accepting your fate. But you also like board game apps. And the latest app to grace my phone, as I bought it the day it came out, is Railroad Ink Challenge. Railroad Inc. by Horrible Guild, which just delivered on its latest Kickstarter, is a railroad network building roll and write game where you try to score points primarily by making a network of railroads and stations. But let's face it, I ultimately failed to do so. This new app version offers the same thing and I've been really enjoying it. That's why I'm talking about it. It's fun and I like it. And the cool thing is that it's available both on mobile phones and thematically, I suppose, it's also available on Steam because trains. The app is for Railroad Inc. Challenge specifically and not for the original Railroad Inc. and therefore it includes the random bonus scoring opportunities as you play to change things up game to game. And at the moment the base game is available with the forest and desert versions looking as though they will be released at some point, though it doesn't say if this is extra content or if it will cost extra money. But the app version is fun and easy to use. I can vouch for that. I've been enjoying it, and you can challenge your friends to matches as well as play the score attack mode, which is the solo way to play to get the best score you can. So if you like board game apps and roll and writes, then this is one that I would personally recommend. Especially because I played the Imperial Settlers roll and write and the So Clever line of games so often now that I think I've slowly worn away the digital pathways in my phone. I don't know how phones work. But talking about things that Portal Games make, like Imperial Settlers, and the next news, wouldn't you know it, is about 11, the latest game from Portal Games making its way to GameFound. 11, while admittedly not about a plucky band of nerds in the 80s who befriend a girl with magical powers, is about football, which we can all admit is equally exciting. 11 was announced during PortalCon earlier this year, but Portal Games have now released a new blog post all about the beautiful game about the beautiful game. So we now know that 11, which is inspired heavily by Football Manager video games, will have 1 to 4 players take the role of managers as you attempt to grow your football clubs over the course of a season to outperform your opponents and their teams. You'll be looking after your budget, fan base, player transfers, staff, infrastructure, as well as investments, even down to the tactics employed on the pitch itself as you try to climb the league table to be the very best, like no one ever was. The blog post also has a link to the draft GameFound page so you can preview the campaign. And I'm excited about it. I am. I think it's difficult to do board games about sport. But there's a lot of passion and pedigree behind this, so I'm hopeful. And I think this is going to be one to look out for, whether you like football or not. For something profoundly different, we have The Hunger, a new deck-building game from board game mega designer Richard Garfield of Magic the Gathering fame. And not unfortunately a game about The Hunger, which is a 2004 hit from Los Angeles punk band The Distillers. Any Distillers fans out there? City of Angels? Young crazed they were ace, alright? It's not important. In The Hunger, you, as vampires, will be racing against time to hunt humans. The ultimate challenge. As you deck build your way to points by fulfilling secret missions. You'll be optimizing your cards as you attempt to collect a rose and make it back to your castle before dawn. The more you hunt, the slower you and your deck become, but more points you may possibly receive. But if you're too slow, then the sun comes up and your poof, dusty vampire remains. I'm interested in this one, I think because I loved Reiner Knizia's deck building and racing game The Quest for El Dorado. So another giant of board game design making a deck building racing game most likely has my money. Also, vampires are cool. They weren't for a minute there, back in the Twilight, but I'm claiming them to be cool again. Finally, we have Platformer, another game coming to GameFound from Awaken Realms Light. And what drew me to Platformer was honestly the name Platformer, because I like 80s and 90s platform games like Crash Bandicoot, Castlevania, and Rolling Thunder. Any Rolling Thunder fans out there? Platform games aren't something that have been very prevalent or seemingly easily transposable to the world of cardboard and tabletops. So Platformer looks like a solid attempt at bridging that gap. Not unlike a platformer. Moving on. In this chibi style game, 2 to 4 players will be competing against each other on the hunt to gain coins and fight monsters by navigating the platforms of the game in a race to beat out your friends. And it's being billed very much as a race. It's going to be family weight with a fair amount of player interaction as you push each other around and off different levels, or maybe you push a monster onto the platform below where your opponent is standing. Who could say? Who could blame you? Who would even know? Everyone. Everyone would know. It would be obvious it was you, but the who could blame you bit, that still holds up. Maps are generated randomly and they reveal themselves only as you climb up and up the layers of the game. So you never know really what's coming for you. Other than the boss monster at the end, the arch enemy. They will absolutely be coming for you. They'll be waiting for you at the end, big time. They've advertised fun and wacky weapons and potions, as well as multiple boss monsters with unique abilities. And I'm interested in this one. I like the nostalgia of it, and it'll be coming to GameFound later this year. And that's the news. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Matthew. Take care.